Hey, ladies and gents. This is Carrie again, doing a quick flash workshop for you guys. 15 minutes on positive guidance and discipline, because I think there's some confusion about this, and I just wanted to see what I could do to clear it up. And directors, you can use this as part of a larger training for your staff, or we have an online training program that's about to go live, and we'll have a full training on this subject. So positive guidance is what we're supposed to do in our classrooms. It's supposed to be also what we do with the other adults in the program. And some people think that it means never saying no. Well, if you never tell people they can't do what they want to do, whether it's adults or kids, you're going to be in for a big problem. So what it actually means is asking for what you want. Ask for what you want is really what positive guidance should be called, because that's what we need to do. We need to ask for what we want. We don't tell a child who is dancing on the table to stop. That's not positive guidance. Stop doing what? Are they supposed to stop smiling, stop dancing, stop being on the table, stop singing along with the Ella Jenkins song you got going on? What is it that they're supposed to stop? Instead, ask for what you want. Come dance with me down here on the floor. That's what positive guidance is. It's about asking for what you want to have happen. So when we're about to go outside, we do the put a bubble. Okay, I don't know how to keep that from happening, but we do the put a bubble in your mouth or lock your lips or whatever if you have to walk through a hallway with a whole bunch of other classrooms. We do the put your hands on your friend's shoulders, and we'll do a train, or put your hands behind your back, or swing your arms to and fro. Whatever we do, we're asking for what we want. We want them to do that, as opposed to stop touching your friends. Keep your mouth shut. Why are you talking? Stop talking. Well, instead, if we say, put a bubble in your mouth, and we're gonna walk down the hall, you've asked for what you want. You want the, okay? Instead of stop biting, well, what they're going to remember is the last one or two words. So in that case, there's two words. So if they only can remember one of them, they're going to remember biting. Oh, yay, more biting in the classroom. That's totally what you were going for, isn't it? No. So instead we say, gentle with my friends. You may kiss my friends. Just to be clear, I always use my friends because it's completely clear that all the children in the classroom are my friends. If instead you say gentle with your friends, they can say, that's not my friend. But if we say gentle with my friends, then it's very clear that yes, they are my friends. Okay? Sorry, I've got to hit a button there on my phone. The next part of positive guidance is to catch children being good. When you have a child who is acting out, the class I was teaching this weekend, they had a classroom where there was a fair amount of biting. Well, if it becomes habitual biting, very frequently habitual biting is because this has become the primary way that that child gets attention. So catch that child who is having the aggressive or undesirable behaviors, ignore what you can, and catch them being good. Sounds easy enough, but it can be really difficult. When you have a child who's been biting a whole lot, you want to fuss at them because they're disrupting your class and they're hurting the other children in the classroom. But if instead of getting down and telling them, Timmy, stop biting, if instead you put yourself physically between the biter and the child they bit and give a lot of attention to the child who was bitten, while blocking the other child from having access, and then just relocating that child to another area where they can work quietly by themselves, you're not addressing the biting with them, because if they're a toddler, it's not going to stick for very long anyway. One, it's not very effective. You guys have all fussed at children who have bitten or pinched or thrown. Did it stop them from doing it again? No, it's not effective. Why do we keep doing things that aren't effective? If instead the child who was bitten gets no attention and the child who the child who bit gets no attention and the child who was bitten gets lots of attention, then if that has become the way that that child is getting attention, they're going to have to come up with a different method, right? So ignore what you can. If a child is running in your classroom, and this is a chronic everyday thing, wait for a rainy day. And the child will run on a rainy day, and pretty quickly they will fall down because the floor is wet and they're going to fall. But if they're running in the classroom, you don't need to address it every time. You can, again, use your body as an impediment and go and stand in the path that child is running while talking to someone else. Ignore what you can. You don't need to always talk to them about things. You can reach out and put a hand on their shoulder and go, and not say a thing. Just put a hand on their shoulder when they're running, and they'll get it. They know. Okay? Ignore what you can. Ask for what you want. And then when you do have to have some sort of discipline, make sure it's immediate, related, and a natural consequence. So if you have a child who is using inappropriate language in the classroom, a knee-jerk reaction of a teacher is to say, I need you to go sit over there by yourself for a little while and think about what you just said. Okay, that is immediate. Is it related to what they did, and is it a natural consequence? No, it's not. So what is an immediate, related, natural consequence of using inappropriate language, calling someone a name, or using profanity? An immediate natural consequence would be, I don't want to talk to you right now. Or asking them to, sometimes we say things we don't mean. Can you come up with 5 nice things to say about this person? I need you to tell me 5 things that are great about this person. Okay? That's immediate, it's related, and it's a natural consequence. Another natural consequence is that sometimes when a child calls another child a name, the child who was called a name doesn't want to play with them anymore. That is an immediate, related, natural consequence that you, the teacher or the director, did not even have to be involved in. Frequently, those kinds of things will resolve themselves, and we don't need to get involved. We really don't. And we do because we are used to having to be in charge. So let's talk through a couple of other potential activities that maybe would necessitate some discipline. We've talked a little bit about the biting. If it's the first time a child bites, I have the child go with me to go get the ice for the child who was bitten, to help them really understand that there was an injury here. And I'll even do Band-Aids because the kids definitely understand that if you got a Band-Aid, you got hurt. So having the child who did the biting go get the ice pack and put the ice pack on and then put the Band-Aid on is an immediate, natural, related consequence. They don't get to play anymore. It happens right away, and it is a natural, related consequence. If you have a child who is throwing things, if they're a toddler, it's absolutely developmentally imperative. It's not just something that the children do to annoy the adults in their life. They're working on developing what's called the rotocuff, so that shoulder joint, which we're going to need later in case they ever want to write or drive a car or ride a bicycle, swing a bat. There's lots of activities we do every day. Oh, open the door. Yeah, would we like them to be able to unlock the door when they're older? Yes. So they need to develop that rotocuff. So they have to do this. So if they're doing this activity and it's resulting in people getting hit or toys being thrown, how can we rearrange that situation? The first thing to do is to make sure that your toddler room is equipped with an area for soft balls to be thrown. You can use various different balls, but you want something soft and spongy You don't want a Nerf ball because they can bite those and eat them and ingest them, and that's a problem. But something soft and spongy, sort of like a Nerf ball, and then something they can throw it into. You can have a basketball hoop, you can have a target, you can have one of those small indoor swimming pool, kiddie pools, you can have a bucket, whatever, but having soft balls in a place where they can throw those, or having a hammer table. Now, I know there are I don't even know how many times I've had teachers take those out of the shelves and put the shelves the kids have access to and put them up on the high shelves where only the teachers can have access to them, or take them out of the classroom altogether because they don't like the sound. Okay, so we don't like it when babies fall, so are we going to keep them from ever pulling up on anything? No, we're not going to keep them from pulling up on anything. We want them to be able to drive a car. We want them to be able to write. They have to develop that muscle. So having 1 or 2 hammer tables, my suggestion is 2, out at all times, allows them to build that muscle instead of, in an appropriate way, you're asking for what you want, not punishing what you don't want. Asking for what you want. Put the things out that allow them to do what they need to do appropriately. So another part of positive guidance that I didn't talk about is making sure that the room is set up appropriately. If you have a problem with running in your classroom, get down at the height of the children in your classroom and look around and see if you see anything that looks suspiciously like something you just saw on the Olympics. A racetrack. Do you see any straight runway lines? Or do you see any circles where you can run nice laps? If so, the kids see them too, obviously, because they're running in your classroom. Almost all the time, running in your classroom, unless it's been 5 days of rainy weather, like we talked about in the flash training last week, if it's not that you've had 5 days of bad weather and they haven't been able to get any of their wiggles out, it's probably your room arrangement. Same thing with wrestling. If there's a lot of roughhouse happening inside your classroom, there's probably something that looks suspiciously like a wrestling mat. Circle time rugs are notorious for this. People have circle time rugs and they don't have any activities happening on it except at circle time. And so there's this blank canvas of cushioned space. This would be a great place to wrestle with my friends. If instead you have that circle time rug being attached to your block center, and so that's where blocks happen, or being attached to your reading center and you have a couple bean bags or soft cushions, puppets, scarves, there's lots of things you can put into that area that will make it very clear that there are activities that we expect you to do here. We make it the dance center, so there's a tape player and they can, or CD player or MP3 player, or probably one of those small tablets works pretty well also for a music playlist. And you have scarves and hats and tambourines and that music playing device is another thing that works really well in that center. It can be your quiet center, it can be a music center, it can be your block center. All of those work well. But if you don't have anything in there and the kids are wrestling, that's not on them, that's on you. You made that choice. You set up the room to encourage behavior, and now you're trying to fuss at them. So please don't do that. Set up your classroom to encourage the behaviors you want. Ask for what you want. Ask for what you want. Do it in the way you set up the room. If you only want 2 children to work at the art table when you're not leading an art activity, why do you have 6 chairs at the art table? You did that, they didn't do that. That's your choice. So you were not asking for what you wanted. If you only want 2 children to work at the art table when you're not leading an activity, only leave 2 chairs. Okay? It's very straightforward. It's very simple to do, but you have to change the way you think. And if instead of thinking about the behaviors you need to stop first, instead think about what do I want to have happen in this classroom? If you want quiet, contemplative classroom, then probably don't play Red Grammar. Teaching Peace is a great song. I love it. I use it in my program, but not on days when I need the classroom to be quiet and contemplative. In those days, I play jazz or I play classical music. Ask for what you want. And it doesn't all have to be with your mouth. Some of it can be with the way you set up the environment. So to wrap it up, ask for what you want, both with your words and the way you set up the environment. Ignore as much as you can of the negative behavior and catch them being good. Because focus on the positive. It works. It really, really works. And then the third thing is make any consequences immediate, related, and natural. It has to be something that flows out of what happens. Being told to sit and think about what you did is not an immediate related consequence to almost anything. And it rarely is something that happens to you as an adult. We want to help them learn by there being a consequence that makes sense with what they're doing. Okay, so there will be later on a link to this for the longer training and a couple of handouts. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.